think of any story. So we talked about the infamous leaving Jimmy. We talked
But you
about,
were not.
we didn't talk about
kids.
the trip to Florida, the Disney World trip.
Oh, the first one,
When
1974.
I rode in the van or I rode in the trailer
With Grandpa.
Patsy. You know, I was with Patsy.
You came back with Patsy. What, you went down there, went up the lid? You went down there, went up the lid, honey.
Yeah, but you guys were.
And we brought you back.
Yeah, but we were running. We stayed at the same campgrounds and
Yes.
everything. Something
But
like that.
you went down with the camper with Uncle Ed.
In St. Petersburg we stayed.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
so long ago.
Well, that was in '74, and the only reason I know that was in the van.
Right.
And that's when the van came.
And we pulled the trailer there. down.
Yeah.
Okay, let me think of any other stories.
And that's when they had a gas rationing thing, or a gas shortage supposedly. And we had to watch that the tank didn't run out. When you're pulling the trailer, the thing drank gas like it was free. But they were good years, honey. It was a good experience.
You don't have any other stories you want to preserve? You don't have the Ann Eula story?
The
Not
first,
something you had to do when you were,
oh,
you don't have any
what-
story about what you had to do when you were little?
the first time we took the trailer out to go camping, we went to a campground that was very close. And it was just in Crete or somewhere like that. Well, that one,
Oh,
Jimmy fell off a swing set and dislocated something.
no, we got a concussion.
He got a concussion.
Yeah.
I don't know, what else, oh, we bent the hitch in the trailer. You know,
That
not
trip,
knowing how to drive the damn thing.
Yeah, that was the first trip.
I don't know what the hell else went wrong.
Well, what happened when we were there, you kids took off playing around the campground. Wasn't a big campground. And you came running and said, Jimmy fell, Jimmy fell. And we went out, and this huge frame for a swing was very tall, much taller than you would anticipate a swing frame to be. And he had shinnied up and fallen off the top. You know, so we had to come home then. I mean, we didn't even stay, we came home because I didn't know what was gonna happen to him. Another time we went out and Michael got cut. Another time we went out and your father got bitten and got blood poisoning. And at the time I was working for Dr. Arthur Rosenblum, and on Monday, you know, I always had some emergency to do, and finally he said to me on a Friday, he said, take a stitch kit with you, you know, and whatever. He got to the point where he was terrified of what I was going to bring back from these camping trips, you know. So, and he all had allergies. Fran had allergies, you had allergies, the twins had asthma that was mechanical, your father had allergies. I mean, it was, when your dad went out for a walk in the woods, I never knew whether he was coming back or whether I would be a widow at that point. I mean, it was not
well, I didn't
fun.
realize I mean, I knew he had the bee thing, and I knew it's gotten worse with time. Even at that point, you were concerned he was going to get stung.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. At that point, not a respiratory reaction, but I can remember coming home in the car, in the van one day with him, and you kids were all in the back, and he said, what do you think of this? And he moved his left leg, he had shorts on, moved his left leg, and of course here's the streak, the blood poisoning streak, you know. And I'm like, why did you do this? Another time, when we had the trailer out at Woodhaven, I don't remember what happened to you, but I remember having to drag you out of the trailer, put you in the truck, and take you into the hospital.
Oh, I passed out.
You know, so camping was not, camping was done because we didn't have money to do anything else.
When did you stop camping? Because at some point you stopped camping and you started just to go away without us.
Well, that's another story. The first time that we went away without you, we thought you were old enough and mature enough to leave with your aunt down the street. And so we went to the hotel in Maryville that had a theater and that kind of stuff. and called home and everything was fine. And of course, I learned later that you were answering in a closet or in the bathroom, so I wouldn't hear the party going on. But we knew there had been a party when we came home, and the coffee table was broken, and something else was, I can't remember all. But that was the last time we went away alone. After that, you had to go whether you liked it or not.
Right, and you usually had to go under duress.
Well, after that, you made somebody, we all had to stay somewhere. We had to, like, I remember after that, Francis had to stay at the Meads, and I had to stay somewhere else,
Or you had to go with us.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So the moral of this story is,
so that was about my junior year. Camping kind of stopped, and then you got that camping place that was up near Rochelle where Evie lived. You got some kind of,
up in Woodhaven.
Woodhaven,
It was
so that's called
American
Woodhaven?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you get the Woodhaven place?
You don't even remember.
Cause I never
Well, it was
went
when
there.
we had moved downtown, so whenever we moved downtown, which is now 20 years ago.
20 years.
And then how did you not have it anymore? You sold that? You just sold the trailer where it was to whoever?
Yeah, we did. We sold the trailer in the lots.
You just put that you had more than one lot
Yeah, we had one lot.
right next to each other?
Yeah.
So you just put a for sale by owner sign out?
No, we sold it through a woman in the campground who was a campground realtor person. And she sold it. But,
So by that point you started to, instead of trying to go away with us to have family, you tried to escape us.
Exactly. Exactly.
But your mind was very active when you were young, honey. You were always thinking that one time your mother picked you up when you started working at Poppin' Fresh. I don't know why you had to tell that, because you went to pick her up, I was working somewhere.
I went to pick her up and I had Michael in the car with me, and I was late. I was not on time for when she came out of Poppin' Fresh.
Poppin'
So
Fresh
she
is
was-
on Baker Square.
She was walking down 187th Street. Now, I want you to remember that I had 5 kids. I worked part-time as a nurse. I was involved in all kinds of stuff, okay? So I'm driving the car and I stop on 187th Street and I pick her up. She gets in the car, furious. You are late and you have never worked as hard as I work. Well, I laughed so hard, it's a wonder I didn't crack the car up. I mean, I couldn't help it. I was just hysterical. No, I had never worked as hard as Jerry Ann had worked.
And there I was probably in my purple uniform with white shoes.
I don't remember what
Marching
color
down
it
the
was,
street.
but I remember. Oh,
And it was purple. It was designed to look like a plum. We had
is
purple-
that what it was?
We
Designed
had
to look
purple
like a-
uniforms with what? Yeah, they were all, I don't know, all polyester, but purple with white collars and white stripes and white shoes. That was the uniform.
Mhm. No, okay.
And how old were you at that time?
Then I remember
Well, I
the
started
night.
working there when I was 15, and you guys probably know the story that I wasn't old enough. I was almost 16 when the restaurant opened. So to get my job and be 16, I falsified my documentation to look like I was 16. So I went to the Homewood Public Library and
There goes your political career right there.
yeah, there goes my political. So I remember having to document, like I wiped it over my birth certificate and things and put it on the copier, and that's what I presented. So surely the man that interviewed me knew I was lying. But I remember he interviewed me and he hired Karen and me and Mary. Can't remember who else. And he didn't stay there that long, but that was a great experience. The Poppin' Fresh was a really good work environment. And then later we got Francis a job there.
Right.
Francis
Mary
worked
Dunn
there.
worked there with you?
Right, Mary Dunn worked there with me,
Mhm.
and I always tell people that was probably the best career experience I ever had, was being a waitress. Okay,
Oh, funny.
welcome to
Wait, wait,
Arley.
Yeah, action, go.
Welcome to Arley, Alabama, Christmas 2010. We start off with a shot of Ollie and the Christmas tree, and then scanning to our right, we come up upon the Fagans, and we will talk to them about Christmas time and some of their favorite Christmas memories. We'll start first with their first Christmas. Tell us about your first Christmas.
Okay, the first one.
Our first one.
Wow. I don't even remember that one.
Well, we lived in an apartment in South Shore.
Good.
I'm sure we had a Christmas tree, but I couldn't tell you anything about it. And I remember being surprised because Ron gave me lots of presents, and I didn't expect that.
Louder.
Louder.
Louder?
Yeah. Speak louder.
Okay, but I finished speaking.
Oh, you finished already?
I finished.
Okay.
Anything you want to add, Dad?
What about the first one? I don't remember much about that one at all.
Well, tell us about Christmases that you do remember.
Okay. I remember one Christmas we gave you a kitchen set. I don't know, was it a stove and a refrigerator and an oven? And we had to wait until you guys went to bed, and by that time I was half stiff. And I had to put all the screws in the damn thing to assemble it. I will never forget that.
That was my Susie homemaker oven, maybe?
There you go, the
Yes.
oven with the light in it, and oh God.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That was something, they did all kinds of, it must have been 10,000 screws to put that darn thing together.
What about the Christmas when you got your first Christmas tree and the dogs ate all the candy off the tree or something?
Oh,
That
we,
was
all
fun.
right, we didn't have a lot of money, and we went to a place that sold trees, and we bought a great big artificial tree. And we had no money for ornaments, so we put a big white bow on it. And then we had a German Shepherd at the time, and we put a bag of Hershey candies on. We hung each of the little candy kisses all over the tree. And as a footnote, we had a white bedspread. So we went out one night and came back in and found the center of the white bedspread chocolate with all kinds of silver paper. The dog had taken the candy kisses off, I assume one by one, opened them and devoured the contents.
With that big mouth, he was able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Leave all the
Yeah.
cellophane or the tinfoil.
Yeah.
That was something else.
What-
We had another Christmas, and you were about 4 or 5, and your father and I both worked in capacities where we didn't always have Christmas off, so we had Christmas when we could have Christmas. So we were having Christmas when we could have Christmas, and your father dressed as Santa Claus, and when he came in, you looked up and said, "Hi, Dad."
That's right.
What about the Christmas when we saw the Santa at the Hendersons?
Oh, God.
Oh.
We were trying to get you guys to go to bed so I could assemble all the toys and what have you. And you guys were fighting it. You wanted to wait for Santa Claus. You or Francis looked out the window, and the Hendersons had hired someone to play Santa Claus. And he got out of the car and was walking in, and he said, "Oh my God, there's Santa Claus." Everybody went up to bed. He was really coming.
What about Francis seemed to be the one that always, I don't know, should we say patronized Santa? And made sure he had cookies and things. What about the year when you put all the stuff in the stockings and there weren't many presents?
Well, what happened, it wasn't just Christmas. Francis used to go and find the baskets on Easter, and every egg and everything was identical in the baskets, totally, when we put them out. So Francis would take it upon himself to switch all the candy around. I didn't find this out for years, but anyhow, he did. He switched the baskets so that his would have what he wanted in it and took it out of other kids and what have you. So with that little aside, we knew that he would sneak down. And of course, we always went to bed late because everything had to be laid out after everybody was asleep. So this one Christmas, we decided that we were going to do it differently. And the house had a family room that was down 4 steps from the kitchen, living, dining area. So we filled the stockings, and the tree was in the window, and there wasn't a toy under it. All the toys were down in the family room. So Francis got up, and the rest of you, and I can still see him going into the stocking and gulping and saying, "Oh, this is great," you know. And finally, we sent the twins down to the family room on a bogus errand, and of course they found all the toys.
How did the tradition of going to Aunt Jean's on Christmas Eve and our house on Christmas Day start?
I don't know how that started, actually. I don't remember how it started. I just know that we went there. We went there Christmas Eve, and we were at our house Christmas Day.
Yeah,
That's right.
And-
always.
And I remember one Christmas, oh sweet God, we had lots of company in and out, and Aunt Jean and your father had made homemade
Cool.
Kahlua. Lots of it. And that night, we wound up, the only 2 sober people beside you kids were my mother and myself. Everybody else was gone. And we had people sleeping on the floor and people sleeping in the basement. I mean, everybody was just, nobody went anywhere.
Was Aunt Jean on the couch in the living room?
I don't even remember now. I do remember that from the beginning of the slate entrance to the kitchen was lined up with the bottles of this Kahlua, because what they made out of it, what do you call that drink?
Black Russians.
No.
Brandy Alexander's.
Brandy Alexander's, only they used the Drambuie for it. So, and of course it was like drinking a milkshake, right?
Hmm.
Right.
Well,
It hit everybody. We wouldn't let anybody drive home.
well, that's not true. Catherine O'Brien did drive home.
Catherine O'Brien could hold a distillery and still drive home.
Yeah,
One day she drove home, she was really 3 sheets to the wind, and it was snowing like hell. We begged her not to go, and she drove all the way into Chicago, down there in 3rd and Wood. They called us when she got there, and she was fine. And she could really drink.
Yep.
Not like the rest of us.
What about Christmases when we were older? So what about, do you see Connor and Patrick very much at Christmas?
When we were in Florida and they lived in Florida, we saw them on Christmas, absolutely. We stayed at their house and we were there when the kids got up for their Christmas morning. So yeah, we did. We saw them. And Mike's kids we saw once. They spent Christmas with us in Sun City Center. But RM was not interested, and JR was okay. I mean, he was very small, very young. And they're not used to the same kind of traditions that we were used to, or that we had.
So if you want to make a 2010 Christmas message for your grandchildren and your children, what would you say?
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
That's good. God bless you all. Enjoy. It's the name of the game.
What was it Tiny Tim said? God bless us, everyone.
God bless us, everyone. Right.
Tina?
Okay, any other stories you want to tell?
Finish
I
your
still
story
want to
about
tell the
Beth.
stories about you.
Oh,
Finish
okay.
your story about Beth. What
Okay.
was her last name? I
Okay,
can't even
what
remember.
was the name?
Kinsella.
Kinsella.
Okay.
Okay, so Beth
I only remember
babysat.
because I was so tortured after that event.
You were tortured?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grounded.
All right, so Beth is taking care of the 5 of you, and you pretended that you were running away. You slammed the front door and hopped into the front door closet. And of course, poor Beth was hysterical trying to find this child who had run away. Another time, Beth was taking care of you, and you did run away. You went out the window and shinnied down the gutter drain, and you went down to, what is that?
Kelleher's?
Kelleher's house.
Was that still her? What about the lady that used to watch us that gave you that big coffin that was in the living room?
Oh, the big carved chest.
Oh, okay, well, that was another babysitter. But anyhow, let's finish the
Oh, really?
Kinsella family.
Yeah, good.
So Beth would not babysit any longer. She would not come. So her brother came, and her brother was a little older. And so they tied him up
Tim.
on a chair in the family room. And so
Threw
after a
spaghetti
while,
at him.
you threw spaghetti at him?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I thought I remembered that. So then we lost him. We did not get out much.
But he was a Marine. You would think he'd have better training about how not
He
to get
wasn't a
captured.
Marine at that point, I
He
don't
was
think.
he had been in the service or something. He came home from the service. And we were able to capture him when we weren't even like Korean or anything.
No, you really,
Your mind was always working, Jerry Ann.
oh. Then the other
Well, what do you
picture.
think it is? What about when you made me go to counseling? So what were my problems? Why did I have to name this?
No, we went to family counseling. But
No, you
anyhow,
need to go to individual counseling.
I don't remember her going individual, do you?
Are
No.
you kidding me? I had to go over to somebody in Port Forest.
That was
Drive all
family,
that
honey,
way.
that was,
That was part of the family, that was not just you. That was not
everybody.
just you.
Well, I
But
was
the
by
other,
myself.
the other thing, while I'm talking about your position with your siblings, I can still see you at the front door in the house in Glenwood. I don't remember what Francis and Michael had done, but you had the 2 of them, and you bashed them against the door, you were beating them both up, and I mean, they were totally bamboozled. I mean, they had no defense at all. I
Most of
don't-
them when we were young, at some point, their strength surpassed mine.
Right.
Well, it was when you were young, but you were always the leader, you were always the brum brum.
Yeah, they were mostly followers,
At that point,
yes,
At
at
that
that
point.
point, correct.
yeah, they were. Now, the babysitter that you spoke about that gave us the coffin, which is not a coffin. it was
Mrs.
a-
Rogers?
Yes, it was a great big Spanish desk, it was huge,
Yes, she won on a game show.
yeah.
That's right.
And it was so big that we sat it in the entrance hall, that was the only place it could go. But Mrs. Rogers was there, and I was working at the school for boys down the road, and she would babysit. And I don't remember how I was notified, but there was a problem with one of the cats. The cat laid there and its leg was just kind of out. Well, it turns out that the kids were playing and parachuting the cat
Not me.
off of the bunk beds.
It was Ronnie and Jimmy.
And of course, a cat will land on its feet, but it has to see in order to do that. So
They
if
had
you
a
drop it,
pillowcase.
if you drop it in a pillowcase, that's not gonna happen. So the cat had a broken leg.
Oh.
Yeah, we took our life in our hands anytime we left you and went somewhere, which is why we didn't go anyplace.
But the twins had their own special challenges. Didn't they like to take the pots and pans out and play in the toilet with them, things like that?
Oh, what they did, at one point I was working on weekends and your dad would babysit. And I worked till 3 and then I got home by 4. And one day I came in and he was in the backyard and I thought, oh goody, I can go upstairs, I can take a shower, won't that be wonderful? And I opened the bathroom door and I was greeted by water on the floor and all kinds of shoes, socks, and clothes hanging out of the toilet. So your dad had seen this mess, he closed the door and took you all out. So that was what I came home to that day.
Great.
How come in your Christmas stories, wasn't there a story about how Grandma Fagan and Grandma Child never got along and then they got along?
Oh, my
Oh no,
God.
that was a different time. That
Was it a
was
different holiday?
That was Mother's Day. First of all, when we were married, we had my mother, your dad's mother, and we had my father. My mother and father were divorced. So initially, we celebrated every holiday 3 times.
Right.
And that got old real fast. So this one Mother's Day, we decided to have the 2 mothers over at the same time. Went to the local liquor store, told him what we were going to serve. He gave us wine for each course. So we had the courses, and by the end of the meal, the 2 of them were schnocked, totally. They did not like each other. They had never liked each other. They had grown up in a neighborhood where they went to the same high school, but not together. And
Why, who was older?
they were pretty close, weren't they?
They were very close. I'm not sure who was older.
So what do you
I had-
mean by not together? Not in the same grade?
Right, they weren't in the same year, same class. But at any rate, by the end of the meal, they were going to have lunch together, they were going to go places, they were going to do things, which of course never happened, but you know, it was nice for one day. But that was how we broke the three celebrations of 3 holidays.
And you one time asked, why does Grandma Child come over and have 1 drink and 2 cigarettes and leave and go down jeans? And I said, honey, you have to ask her. I don't know. But she did, that was her thing. She would come
Yeah.
out, stop in to see us, have 1 drink, 2 cigarettes,
Who's
and
that?
go down there jeans.
My mother.
Yeah.
My mother.
Well, as long as we're off of Christmas, maybe talk about the trip that we took where we left Jimmy at the rest area.
Oh, well,
That was up there, Uncle Ed's.
Yep.
My brothers,
That was Uncle Ed's?
yeah, we're going up to Ed's, right?
no, we're coming back from
Coming
Ed's.
in.
Yeah, we're going south. We're coming back from Ed's, and we stopped at a rest stop, and everybody went in, and we came out, and we got in the van, and away we went.
We had Grandma with us, my mother with us, I think, didn't we?
I don't know, I don't remember whether she was on that trip.
And the cat, we had 2 dogs and at least 1 cat.
Mhm.
Yeah, at least. That was when you smuggled Misty home.
So the cat, yeah, but didn't a cat's broken leg happen in that same trip?
No, the broken leg was at home.
No, somebody's leg got slammed in the door on one of those trips.
Not on that trip. The
What?
only thing that happened on that trip was we forgot Jimmy.
So my recollection is, we said, Mom, Jimmy's not in the car, and you said, yeah, right, stop causing trouble. Somebody goes, no, Mom, Jimmy's not in the car. Something like that. And so,
And he wasn't. And when we went back, he was still in the same stall waiting for someone to find him.
Right, that was Jimmy. He couldn't open the door, so sit and wait for someone to come rescue me.
Yeah.
I remember that in the Fagan family van, we would have a big Kool-Aid jug or something, like that would be sitting in the front. And then it was kind of chaos getting back in, and so maybe you did a count off. Jimmy's not here, yes he is, but it would be hard to really see if Jimmy was there with all the stuff that was going on. And we could have easily been hiding him with everything that was going on back there.
Look at this. That's terrific.
Mr. President.
Okay, you can sing because this is a video.
Oh no. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Ron. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you all, thank you all.
You're very welcome.
Blow your candles out, honey. Very, very good. Very, very good.
Nico,
Tugs.
Ronnie and Nico. James Patrick. And moi.
Oh, little guys. Oh, little guys. Come on, Bill. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Boy, hi, Bill. Hi. Hi, Bill. Hi, yeah. Hi, Bill. Hi, buddy. Oh, yeah. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yes, good to see you. I miss you too. Yes, I did. I miss you too. Yes. Good boys. Good fellas. Good fellas. Good fellas. Yeah. Good fellas. Come up, Bippy. Come up. Yes, you can. Come on, Bippy. Good boy. Good boy. Good.
you want us still standing?
That's not a good idea.
No, it's not a good
Hi,
idea.
Joe. Did you start a fire or something before?
Did you ever, as a kid?
Yeah.
Why
one
don't
time.
you take
Then enough said.
You're in Washington, you made
He's
me
9, thank you. No, no,
I thought he
no.
was 10.
Well, he'll be 10 next month.
I don't know how to just get back to these like,
It's January.
Naples.
You know what, let
How do
Fran
you not
help.
make that?
That's fine.
It's scary.
If Fran will help you, you can do it. You're not doing it by yourself, that's scary. That's a scary thought.
Mama, do you tell
Let's
the,
do one at a time.
Yeah, he didn't burn down the house, he just burned down a lot of other things.
She's so old, you just have 2 cakes to hold
Joe,
all
what'd
the
you do?
candles.
You have
Yeah.
Nothing, it's
fire.
what you did that you're gonna teach him.
Fires, and I don't want to.
and 2 pies.
And 2 pies. Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah, we got pies.
Pies and cakes, so if you don't find something you like, you're out of luck.
Mickey, have you told a story lately about how I started the table on fire?
Oh, the kids were, alright, I have to tell you this story, kids.
I want to do these last
Okay.
time. I want to do this.
Who is this?
Okay.
And there's one over here, let me do this.
Alright, be quiet.
Listen, story time, story time, story time.
Okay,
Oh, am I doing my own
sitting at the table, adults at one end, children at the other end. Jerry Ann had a beautiful organza dress on, fluffy skirt, and we adults are talking, and of course there are candles on the table,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden Francis speaks up and he says, Jerry Ann fired her skirt. And there she was, on fire. Yeah, she was.
You need some.
Hey, Joe, get her to sit down. Get her to sit down.
Please sit down.
Sit down.
Thank you, where's the lights?
Okay.
Behind.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Beth. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Blow them all out. Yay!
What was that noise?
You're being recorded.
Oh.
Come on, Wolfie. Come on.
Where you going, baby?
Say, Dad, throw the ball.
He's gonna give it to me first.
Yeah. You can only turn 52 once.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jerry Ann. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Go for it. Yay!
Yay!
Speech, speech.
Gosh, what do I thank you. I'm glad to be with you. I don't know the last time we were together on an actual birthday.
Do you know what I
was
just
with my
did?
birth parents. What?
I didn't start it.
I did, so I'll give you a copy.
Okay.
Okay, who would like a piece of cake?
We all would like a piece of cake.
Everybody.
Who would like a flower? And you need to savor every bite. People went to buy this cake twice and then they couldn't find it. This is a coveted secret cake.
No, it's a signature cake.
Coveted signature cake.
Thank you very much, you guys. Gene and Jerry Ann. These magazines are great. Thank you. I'll enjoy them.
And he hasn't been through the whole box yet.
Thank you, honey. And I enjoyed seeing Donna deliver them too. Thanks again, guys.